everybody. Today I'll be presenting my project on resource unlocking using gesture sequences.
Here is a story told to the children of Africa.
For today's project, we'll be using the MPU 6050, which is an IMU which contains an accelerometer, temperature sensor, and gyroscope. However, for this project, we'll be only using the accelerometer. To control this, we'll be using the SCMD21 Explain Pro microcontroller. We have attached Velcro to the bottom of the microcontroller as well as the top of the MPU 6050 to allow them to easily be attached to this glove. This is what it looks like with all the hardware mounted. The gestures used in our sequences today will be X plus to the right, X minus to the left, Y plus forward, Y minus backward, Z plus up, and Z minus down. As the name suggests, these gestures could be used in place of a password to unlock a resource such as a door, a smartphone, or some other device. As you've realized, there are 6 gestures, and our code for today's project will have a sequence of 6 of those gestures, which means that there's a possibility of over 46,000 different possible gesture combinations. Let's take a brief look at our code. If we scroll down here, we see that we have a movement threshold for the X, Y, and Z direction. This will determine the sensitivity of the module along our 3 axes. So we can see that since Z has the largest value, it is the least sensitive in the Z direction, which is up and down, and it's most sensitive in the X direction, which is left to right. This threshold B value here is used to determine the highest allowable reading in the other 2 axes when we're trying to read a value in one axis. So for example, if we're reading a value along the X-axis, the changes in acceleration along the Y and Z axis should not surpass 0.3. And finally, with this threshold here, since our module works using the law of conservation of momentum, when we read an initial momentum in one direction, that should be followed by an opposite and equal in magnitude amount of momentum in the opposite direction. So the error between those average momentum values should be no greater than this threshold value right here. So if we look here, we can see that we have our record key, and we can see that it consists of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 gestures. By default, it's X plus, X minus, Y plus, Y minus, Z plus, and Z minus, which represents gestures right, left, forward, backward, up, and finally down. Next, we're actually going to demonstrate how these values are read and recorded by our system. So it's time to move on to the demonstration phase of this project. As you can see, I already have the hardware mounted and connected, and this onboard LED here will be used as our status indicator. This 1 Hz blink, which is happening right now, indicates that the module is in its idle state, which means that it is simply polling and waiting for you to press this button right here to move on to the gesture inputs mode. And if all the gestures are input correctly, then it will move on to the unlock state. If there's an error, it goes back to this idle state. So right now we'll be just demonstrating what the error sequence looks like. It is a sequence of 5 LED blinks at 5 Hz. So I'll go into the gesture input state and just wait momentarily. The error sequence that we just observed occurred due to an orientation error. This happens when the MPU 6050 is not held in a flat position. As you saw, my hand was in this position. What happens is that the accelerometer on the MPU 6050 is constantly being checked to ensure that the acceleration due to gravity is acting in a downwards direction, which is Z. If we detect a larger proportion in either the X or Y directions, it will give off that orientation error.
She said, "Sir, I've seen you before, tell me who are you?" I said, "I am a legend that you never heard of before." She said, "I am a lion, but you never heard me roar."
To reset to a new password, we need to hold down the built-in LED for 5 seconds to enable reset mode. We can see that it is now in unlock mode and the light is now solid. So we'll now hold down the button for 5 seconds and enter reset mode.
Much more than the work of the work is greater. Creation glorifies creator. So all these done are in the name of my maker. I am a legend that you probably never hear about. Words from the lion's mouth. I am a hero.
Great.
That nobody said.
We've entered our new password, and as we can see, the light is now blinking at 1 Hz again, which means that it is back into the idle state. So next we'll try to re-enter our new password and see if we can get it back to the unlocked state.
Story of my life, ordinary person just like you. If you take a look inside, you see the great things that people do.
As we can see, the light is now back to the solid state. We have entered the new password correctly and it's now back to unlock mode. Let's now try to reset the password to the original.
Something about you, girl, and I don't think it's just your smile. I don't know how to say.
As you can see, we've re-entered the original password and we're back to the idle state. What we're going to demonstrate now is we're going to unpurposely enter the wrong password and we'll see what happens. What's going to happen is when we're done entering our 6 wrong gesture sequence, then it's gonna give you your 5 blink sequence, which is the error sequence, and then return to this idle state. So here goes.
You are my queen, Majesty. Don't you know you are my queen, Majesty? Oh, you are my queen, Majesty. Queen of the jungle, you are the lioness. Other feline a grumble, but they're always trying your best. So when the whole world a crumble, your lion is alright. Before I hold you